Hi everyone. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Sam.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for that honorable introduction, Victoria. Uh, yeah. Hi everyone. So just briefly, my name is Akinshola. Summer is also fine. So I think today we'll pretty much be talking about Odoo and ERP in general. One of the major thing um, is the fact that the world is also transitioning. I could hear that there was somebody on the team also that has more or less an ERP experience, and yeah, it's glad to have you aboard also, and also for all the business people, developers, and um, people who are interested. You're also welcome. So just to give a brief background on ERP, um, what are we doing here? So I'll be talking more on Odoo specifically, but I'll just do a deep dive into ERP and what ERP is about. So on my presentation here, these are just the touch points. Talking to introduction into ERP, then we move on to Odoo ERP, then how to get started with Odoo development generally. And there's some kind of customizations that you need to do. Um, what are the different aspects of Odoo ERP from front end to the API to external integrations? Then also, how can you scale your Odoo ERP application? And yeah, the community. Then we have a short Q&A. Then before we just do some live coding sessions. Um, okay, so for ERP,
This meeting is being recorded.
we have ERP to be an abbreviated term, and majorly what are we talking about when we talk about ERP? So we're talking about enterprise resource planning. I don't know how many of us are quite familiar with the term CRM. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of us would have heard about the term CRM. And CRM generally also talks about the the major thing about we having to show customers, right? That's customer relation manager, and the different activities that encompasses within you delivering successful service delivery or product or whatever the company is doing. And then we also have companies that just use CRM just to manage their customer or client data and then maybe issue out some of those information. But the whole understanding is the fact that CRM, ERP are larger than just for managing customers' data. And then within ERP itself, you're having a case whereby you're talking about a CRM being inside an ERP solution. So it's more like something that is a very huge platform for enterprise planning. Also, more like an application-based software. Used to integrate the different processes of the businesses. So, say for example, you have sales, you have an e-commerce part of your website of your business also. Then you also have a point of sales whereby you have to be able to ensure that your point of sales system is integrated into the ERP solution. Also, there's that part whereby you can also just launch that interface on your ERP pure punching machines where you just punch and just the way we are able um, to be able to buy something in malls and all of that. So the same interfaces that are being used, Odoo ERP also can be able to single-handedly provide you a module and interface for that also. Yeah, so processes are integrated. What I mean by processes is you have external flow processes that literally encompasses from the case of maybe you want to integrate payments or you have a third party system that you also want to be able to integrate in. So ERP generally is able to do all of these and then not just an enclosed space whereby you can just only use the apps in it or anything. Um, Moving on. So what are the different um, processes that are included in ERP? So these are just some few points of the processes. We are talking about planning. We're talking about warehousing, how to be able to manage your financials. There is also the human resource management of it, whereby HRs are able to manage your staffs, and then you can be able to build like a whole holistic user database of staffs, of customers, of clients. So different categories of users, and then you can have an HR system that also manages all users across the system. Also, you have a point where you can manage reporting, supply chain, e-commerce, a lot. You can manage payments, sales, quite a lot of other things. Customization also can also be done. Few ERP packages that we have that literally have standard organization, mostly planning. We have budgeting, right? It also helps to be able to ensure that you manage anticipation. There is always monitoring and reporting. So generally, ERP ensures that you are able to move through these processes, right? It provides you with different packages, right? One of the goals of organization is for them to be able to plan, and then while planning also be able to set a budget, and then okay, the weights, what's okay, how much are we making, what sales is it coming in. So from the just from the interface, you can be able to keep tracking all of these things, and there's also monitoring and reporting also all on the same. So at times, I think people literally try to confuse ERP with just financials, that it's just all about money. Maybe you're selling something or you're doing something, but ERP is way beyond that, right? It's not just, okay, say for example, you trying to manage transactions only, or just trying to see your sales and then everything has to be about sales and payment. No. So ERP can um, so ERP and financials. So generally um, there's a misconception that everything about ERP has to do about financials, right? So people making sales, setting up receipts, invoices, everything about just you recording your finances. And generally, financials is just a subset of ERP solutions. There is quite a lot of what is it called? A lot of packages, right, within every ERP solutions that you're using, either free or paid or customized, right? So ERP is more or less like an holistic all-in-one solutions that covers wide range of business aspects. And in terms of finances, it's just one part of the ERP, or let me even say a very little subset, because generally there can be some projects where you're working on, right? And then they might not necessarily be dealing with financials, right? But the truth is every organization really wants to be able to make money, right? So it's always good that you have all your solutions. So either it's a telco, either it's a business operations in sales and management, either is any kind of institutions that you can think about. Even startups are beginning to get transitions into using ERPs and all of that now, just to be able to manage a large operation of their business aspect. There's also an understanding about who controls the ERP alongside organizational chain, and what exactly happens and all of that. So there's been a comprehensive system, right, across how ERP should be managed, right? So since ERP system is highly comprehensive, right, across an enterprise, so there is often kind of structures, right, that people have to be able to manage these, right? But so far, this has been a generic structure where you have the chief financial officer, you have the chief information officer, and the chief operating officer, right? and then other key executive stakeholders, right? So these three roles are one of the major roles that manages that should be involved in an ERP solution. So we are talking about the chief financial officer, right? So for every organization that is set up, there is always the goal to be able to ensure that yes, how much are we making, how much are we spending, what is our financials like, right? And then there's the chief information officers that is literally in charge of managing the entire system, right? This can also be intertwined with chief technology officer, right? But reason why chief information officer is used in place is because they apparently manage the product side, right? So in terms of okay, what goes around, okay, in case if there's a new request for access creations, things that are being done around IT support and all of that, right? So a chief information officer is expected to be able to undo those kind of requests. Then we have the operational part. So operation is very, very huge depending on the structure of the business, right? So you're talking about business operations, and then you really want to be able to see how and what business operation, right, is literally about. So take for example, for for a company that is into maybe an ISP, Fiber One, for example, right? So a Fiber One would have, for example, right, an ERP solution where their major product is internet, providing internet services, right? So from there, a kind of an ERP solutions that they're going to have, definitely there will be financials, there will be, so they're going to have a an inventory of all their users, right? Both staff, customers, and they will be categorized in the system, right? Then they will be able to have inventories, right? Number of things, cables, fiber cables, wires, equipment, and all of that. You're going to have that under operations. You are going to also have like a request system, right? Whereby when there's a call to be able to make a request, and then there's the way it flows across different departments and different units, right? There's also a need to be able to track dispatch. There's also a need to be able to track um, logistics, right? From the number of vehicles that we have to daily consumption of fuel to activities to support services. So it's a lot of things that manages the entire business operations that should literally be in one single platform and then can be interconnected with maybe their official websites if they don't want to view the websites of the ERP. Can be linked to their official websites where requests are able to flow in directly. Then their support team are able to create maybe like tickets, right? Help desk tickets or issue tickets, maybe for some issues or for some requests and all of that. So then other executive key leaders could be head of departments and literally every other thing. So the ARP control, operating staffs, type of information that they control. And one other critical thing about ERP is there's access level control system, right? So authorization and access level control system. For every individual, there is an access level that is created for you to be able to know what you need to be able to do, right? To be able to ensure that you have a read, a create, and edit, a delete, right? What kind of operation part of the business operation can you be able to do also? So that's literally all of that. Then in terms of operating staffs, you see that they are in things like operational parameters, like I mentioned with the example of Fiber One. They also have billing amounts, project costs. So all of these modules can be information that is in the operating side. Then there is the middle management also, like attendance monitoring, key performance indicators, which literally could fall around HR. Then there is also the trending and future estimation of long-term planning, right, for the business itself. So there's there's quite a huge holistic control. So briefly, I will just run through the short history of ERP. So I think in 1913, at least according to the information I have, We have engineer Ford Whitman developed the first economic order quantity model. So at that time, it was called ETQ. What this was majorly about was it's like a spreadsheet, but it's like a sheet of papers where it's tabulated. Then there's a a kind of product list and quantity order that is being put into it. Then in 1964, then we have like a two maker black and two maker black and decker combined ETQ, right? So then this was put into a computer, and then we started having an MPR, which is a management recruitment planning. Then also in 1983, there was a manufacturing resource planning V2, which was also developed on a personal computer. So this was being rewritten as a software now then. From 1987, we started having other concepts to be able to control business. Everybody started coming up with their own concepts for the different business. Then I think in 1990, um, in one of the meetings, we had ERP being the name that was suggested for a technology analyst of a business management. So this became a short form of how ERP itself came into vogue. Then also, what are the fundamentals? Key principle is that is a central data collection across a wide spectrum. Then also, there's the design basis also. So ERP is designed around common defined data structures, right? So you have different kind of data structures, database structures, right? Schemas being developed by ERP in different forms and structures. Then also ensuring common definitions and user experiences is another thing. You also have a form of interconnected. It's interconnected to business workflow across various departments. Over time, ERP add a manufacturing benefit also for businesses. So for companies that are literally into manufacturing also and a whole lot, right? It has also helped to be able to improve business insights, decrease operational costs, compatible infrastructures, improved manufacturing. Then also, what are the functional benefits of ERP for businesses? So one of the major things is the fact that it has improved in efficiency. Um, One of the key things is the fact that efficiency in the time that you need to be able to access a set of the data, right? You can have all of those data within the same ERP solutions that you're looking for. Not just that you have to move away from one source to another source to be able to access the data, and then maybe you need that data from source A to source B, and then you're taking that data into by GeoGet. You just have unnecessarily duplicated data. But with ERP, there's a more or less like unnecessary delay that it helps to eliminate. So reduction of risks also. So computer processing rules, right? It's literally out of any human error. So depending on how you've configured your ERP solutions, then also we also have improved communication. It helps to be able to provide a platform of sharing data between different tiers of management. Um, so what are ERP adoptions by industries? I think the planning to integrate ERP into the current industry practices is the fact that people are beginning to adopt these, but not fully because of costs that is attached to it, right? Integration into businesses is also rising up. Um, and some of the reason why it seems to be rising up is because there's been constant reduction in cost, right? For some ERP solutions, and then some ERP solutions are coming out to be open source also, And then people are beginning to see the need, and also based on the fact that there are too many data on different platforms, right? So having an ERP solution would pretty much be able to help many things. So just a deep dive into cloud-based ERP. So what are some of those things that literally will be going into ERP very soon, right? So embedded with next generation technologies such as Internet of Things, blockchain, AI, machine learning, digital assistants. So with Odoo ERP, I'm beginning to see a lot of um, interesting integrations because it's open source, right? So people are able to create different solutions around this. And then the fact that it's built of Python is another quite interesting thing because some of the new adventure of things that are coming in technology, right? Python seems to be a very good point. And then other solutions also. Then they deliver data and capabilities to traditional ERP functions, right? You can create opportunities to be able to increase efficiency. There's a new service from time to time, and then software as a service, which is now currently the new face of cloud-based ERP. A lot of times we see a lot of software as a service solutions. Um, being in delivery model for ERP, right? And then also with software as a service, ERP runs on a network of remote servers. So you have um, for example, different kind of ERP. Right now, you have Zoho also being an ERP solutions that is being hosted. And behind the scene, it's not just hosted on a single server. So there are different multiple interconnected servers. So if I, as an individual, was to move to Zoho ERP solutions now, because it's a software as a service, right? Yes, my account is created and a replica of the entire ERP solutions. I have it, then I can now be able to pay for extra modules or apps that I need to integrate and all of that based on my requirements or my business operation. Then cloud providers facilitate with quite a number of services, patches, management, updates, and I think these are some of the things that has to do with on the cloud or deployable ERP solutions. So benefits of switching to a software as a service, it has reduced operational expenses, reduced capital expenses, reduced third-party dependencies. Then also, what are some of the improvements in existing ERP solutions? Yes, there's been increase in security. One of the major costs right now in the digital age is security. Security has become a major issue, and then for every solutions that is able to make it out there, security should definitely be a number one priority. There is the extent value of existing software as a service. There's also an evolving financial system whereby you can be able to integrate your ERP solution with Stripe and be able to accept international payments. Also, you can maybe at a point open in the future also with local payment services like Flutterwave, Paystack, and a lot more other payment services, right? Also can be also involved supply chain whereby you're delivering goods that has to get integrated with every other part of your business operations also. So we are coming to some examples of cloud ERP system. So we have the Odoo ERP, which will be touching points today. We have um, Oracle ERP Cloud, we have Acumatica, we have Bees Automation, there is the SAP SA for Anana, there's the NetSuite, there's O, there's also the one from Microsoft also. Yeah, I've kind of forgotten the name. Yeah, so that's quite a tons of ERP solutions here and there. That's that are being out there. So we'll be transitioning to um, Odoo ERP now. And I don't know if Okay, if there are any questions for now, before moving to Odoo, no questions yet. So Odoo, Odoo is a comprehensive suite of business applications, right? That is basically designed to cover all kinds of businesses, right? Like I said, sales, inventory, accounting, CRM, project management, and a lot more. Even payments, right? Um, One of the major key thing is the fact that Odoo, right, is a community edition. There is an Odoo community edition, which is the open source, allowing developers to modify, extend, customize the code to be able to fit their business requirements. And also, this means businesses can avoid some of the vendor locked in or maybe have full control over their ERP solution, right? So, in most experiences, we've always been having some ERP solutions that before you can even be able to migrate, right? It's a whole lot of issues. Not to be able to say that you have a decisions on, okay, yes, I need a module that is able to do this, and then you're unable to find a single module. Rather, you have to go and pay a lot of huge money of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to be able to just have a workable module from a vendor or from the provider of your ERP solutions, right? So Odoo operates on a modular structure. One of the things with this is the fact that you can choose which modules you need and then easily add more as the business grows, right? And then there are popular Odoo apps. There's an e-commerce, they have an open source CRM, accounting, human resource, and a whole lot of other modules that you can find there. Odoo is designed. So why are we talking about Odoo? One of the main major things is the fact that Odoo has a huge benefit for developers and businesses, right? Um, it's a system that is designed to scale, right? For businesses, right? So you can start from a small team to a few modules, right? Maybe one, two, three, then you can over time scale up to a large organizations, then by using a lot of interconnected apps. And at some points, right, you can now have developers that can start customizing your apps. Developers can customize your Odoo through its powerful framework. So Odoo also has a framework of its own also. We'll still be talking about that from a developer perspective on the back end and also on the front end. Also, there is also the different workflows, business logic that can also be developed, right, to be able to suit the business need. So with its open source, I can confidently say there's no restriction, right, on what a developer can achieve. It's just the parts of your integrations that you have to look into. So you can build up from ground up, right? Odoo apps or Odoo modules and then install them for your different version of Odoos, and then it's literally accessible, right? You can also be calling a third-party APIs within your Odoo app, and then it's able to flow in data into your Odoo, or your Odoo is able to trigger some background actions so that, and then that's with the power of the Odoo frameworks, and then with Python also. So Odoo can integrate with external services, API. You're talking about payment gateway, shipping carriers, CRMs, and a whole lot. Comparison with other system, right? So there is an Odoo community which is free and literally open source, making it by far the most affordable. We like SAP and Microsoft Dynamics, which is I know they are quite they are one of the big people also in the market, but there's also a huge overhead cost for a small organization trying to integrate with SAP or a small organization just going with Microsoft Dynamics, right? So you definitely have to start talking about users per user, per cost, and all of those things, and then it becomes a very whole holistic cost. So cost is one of the major things. SAP and Microsoft are powerful also, um, but they often require specialized developers to and a long implementation period, right? So for Odoo, I think once you have a background with Python and XML, I think you're fine to be able to deep dive into Odoo within, let me say, within a month, right? You have a background in Python, and XML is just as simple, right? So unlike system such as SAP, right, which requires complex integration, and I know there are SAP certifications and all of those things also. There are also Odoo certifications, but not as very critical, right, with SAP solutions, right? So yeah, in terms of what do we do, getting started with Odoo development, understanding the Odoo modular architecture. So for some of us, for most of us that are programmers on the group, we have a modular structure for Odoo, and this is literally built off the case of we having everything as an app being built in a modular architecture. So you have your structures being, your functionality are being encapsulated, right, into different aspects of your app. And then this is easily for flexibilities. You have your models, you have your controllers, you have your views, and then you can have other things around maybe uh, your structures, pretty much a few other things, and then common modules in Odoo. By default, you see sales, you see CRM, inventory, HR, accounting, financials, you see websites, a lot of other things. And then with the developers, developers can definitely extend your Odoo very, very easily without having to do anything. Then Odoo also uses an ORM, objects relational mapper. For the developers, this is the more model at which we interact with databases and all of that. And this is just simple as database operations by representing. So either you want to create your migrations, you want to manipulate your database, you want to do your view presentations, your form presentations, or you want to be able to do graphs with your XML, you can definitely be able to achieve this. Then of setting up your Odoo developments, there are usually two options that you want to be able to do. So in terms of installation options, you have your local installations, and then you also have your local installations. Um, Local installations in the sense that you can be able to talk about you installing Odoo directly, right, on maybe your computer or a cloud um, platform using the package manager, or maybe from the official Odoo website using Odoo.sh. Then also, you can also use Docker. Um, this is a more interesting way to be able to containerize your Odoo environment. Then one of the things is that it provides you an installations, everything that you need, and for compatibility also. Then we are talking about the development environment for Odoo. So there is usually a basic structure with Odoo, and one of the basic structure with Odoo is that you have folders. Your Odoo installation directly has to be in the add-on for custom modules. And one of the major essential files and directory is the fact that in your app folder, so say for example, we have a library app, the default the first file down that should be in it should be a manifest file, a manifest.py. So this contains the metadata about your Odoos, and then how your module, how Odoo itself should interpret or relate with everything within your app. So you have the models, the PY, so it could be a model folder. Um, then you have your model in it, then or you can have two different models in it, then you extend them with the um, with the init.py. So you also have the views. This is where you do things, customizations using XML for form, trees, reports, graphs, a lot of other things. Then you also have controllers, the PY, or your controllers folder for handling web requests. Either you want to be able to expose using that app to expose an API, right, outside your Odoo for other people to be able to connect through it and then be able to set up a form of authentication. Then you also have your security PY. So these are where you define your security rules and access rights for your module. Then you also have your data, can be a data folder or a data file where it contains your preloaded data configurations or demo data also. So I'll just do a quick run through customization with Odoo. When you're creating your models, so we are going to um, experiment some of these things, right? So when you're creating a models, we have that, and then we're going to create one called like a library app. So you create your manifest file within the folder, you define your models in your models.py, fill in things around. Maybe you want to have a model called books, you also have another model called autos, or you can use the inbuilt Odoo ERP. Then you also have, you can define your fields based on the different Odoo field character types. You have the character, you have integer, dates, and all of these things. And each of these fields, in the case where you have a date field, right, on the UI, Odoo translates that to a calendar so that you can be able to set a calendar. So that's one of the things it does on the UI. So creating your views, you create a view.py, then use an XML to create your different actions, menu, form, search, or graph or tree views, right? Then you can customize the appearance and the behaviors of your views using Odoo's XML. One other interesting thing is how do you control the workflow and BP business logic, right? So using the ads API.model decorator would help you to be able to define some class methods using the API depends. Decorator specify the dependencies between fields. So in this case, when you're using the depends, the decorator is a case whereby you want to be able to trigger an action based on, okay, I have a book, right? I have the field, book title, uh, book description, book price, book status, book author, right? So in a case where I'm selecting, say, for example, um, I want to be able to link the book to the author, right? So you can literally tell it that, okay, this dependencies should check at API depends on author, which is a relational field, right? To be able to check. Then you also have a use API on change decorator to trigger actions when the field values change. Then you have other things like automated actions, like I was saying, right? You can have some things around maybe other things where you have a queuing system or a job, right? Like a job, or maybe when you have a rabbit MQ. So Odoo has been able to also achieve some of those things to be able to create an automated actions using Odoo server actions. So these you can be able to use it for sending records, for creating records, for triggering other action based on specific conditions or events, right? Then you also have the scheduled tasks also, which helps you to be able to handle these. And then you can be able to use the i.cron model to be able to um, trigger or configure some of these, right? So at the way you're configuring these, you're configuring the frequency, you're configuring the time of the tasks that you're executing the task, either daily or weekly. So this is a case whereby in case you have maybe a system where you need to be sending an update or you need to be making some API calls maybe at a part of the day, right? So Odoo, you can build a model or an app, sorry, an app that can be able to do some of this. So what is front-end development with Odoo? So Odoo has a front-end framework called QWeb. So it helps to be able to primarily modify the templating engine for rendering views. So it combines both XML and Python to create a dynamic and interactive user interfaces also. Then there's also the part where it uses syntax similar to HTML, right? With additional keyword specific tags, right? So more or less like, say, for example, it's just like we saying um, we have not necessarily like our front-end frameworks, right? But something similar, like our Vue. So it's a little bit as light as Vue, right? Because at least Vue is still not extremely complex, like maybe React or Angular. So I would say, yeah, customizing user interfaces. So you can be able to use JavaScript extensively to add client-side interactivity to your view, create custom widgets and components using the Odoo JavaScript frameworks. You can customize the appearance and behavior of your views using CSS also. So you can be able to bring in like a customized interface. Another thing which I've also done is custom reports and dashboards. Um, Maybe either using the queue reports or you want to be able to develop an interactive dashboard to visualize key metrics and a whole lot of other things that you can integrate it with the Odoo data source for real-time data informations or maybe with your other apps, right? Or third-party too. So Odoo API and external integrations. What does this mean? Using Odoo external API, we have three cases. You can be able to use the REST API. There's also the XML RPC API, and then integrations with third-party apps also. So for the REST API, this is quite interesting. It's something that I've also used. So you can be able to create an API out of your app, your custom app that you're developing, right? Or maybe out of an existing app within the Odoo system itself, create an API, and then you have all your get, post, puts, parameters defined, and all of that. And then it supports your JSON data format for either receiving the data or sending data, right? So Odoo is very highly complex. Then also you can also implement authorization and access control on all of these, your endpoints also. Then there's also the XML RPC API, which is more like the traditional API based on XML, RCP. Yeah, these are mostly now used for just simpler integration scenarios. Then also there's the integrations with third-party apps, so you can develop custom applications or use existing libraries to connect with Odoo. Then also integrates authentications and authorization API calls, send and receive data between your Odoo and the external application. So all of this, you can be able to build all those custom apps itself. So if you're thinking of, okay, does Odoo has maybe like an app with this social provider or with this social provider, yeah, you can be able to um, do that and then just customize it and then have it set up. Um, Common integration use cases, right? Um, gateway are one major interesting thing, right? So you can integrate Odoo with popular payment gateway, which is Stripe. I've been able to see a wonderful job that Odoo and Stripe have done together with the Stripe app. So because Stripe is very huge, so with that they've been able to replicate a number of the feature on Odoo also just by installing the Odoo app, and it's open source also. So it's not as if you have to pay for using the Stripe app on Odoo to be able to process online payments, automate payments processes and reconciliation. Also, you can be able to create your own app also in case if there are no open source app for maybe Odoo Flutterwave or Odoo Paystack or something, which would be interesting to be able to do, right? So there's e-commerce platform. Maybe you want to be able to integrate your Shopify, your Magento, your WooCommerce, right? To be able to synchronize with data, with your product data, orders and inventories, right? So that can also work. So these are possible things that can be done off the fly with Odoo by you customizing or creating the integrations itself. So shipping, you can integrate your Odoo shipping, WebEx, UPS. So there are shipping modules also free and paid that you can also be able to use, or you create your own integration customly. Um, I don't know if there's any questions for now, or just to continue. Questions so far? Okay, we just have a few more slides to get to the interesting parts, creating an Odoo app. Yeah, so security and access control. So with Odoo, you can be able to create, manage user roles, and permissions, create and manage Odoo users with different level of access, right? Assign unique username and passwords. Roles, you can be able to define roles to group users, right? And similar permissions. So with this, you can be able to assign that, okay, for these roles, they can only be able to see this set of things or be able to perform these sets of actions, right? Yeah, so then there's permission whereby you're able to grant or restrict access. So this can be done on a model, a field, or record basis, right? So what I mean by a module is that there are some modules, right? So maybe a Stripe payments configuration, right? You don't want just anybody in the company to have access to that module entirely. So they won't even be able to see it on the menu, right? Then you have your models, right? So you don't even so maybe they're able to access the app itself, but there's a particular subset of the app, which is the model, you can be able to cut them off. Then if it's a field, right, you can be able to also say that here, you don't have this particular permission, you can see or select or create with this field or even see this particular records, right? So these are one of the things. Then use access control, be able to do some of these also. Um, So permissions implements record rules and a lot more other things. So these are part of the ways that Odoo has been able to flexibly manage user roles and permissions. So best practices for securities, which I'm sorry. So with best practices for Odoo security, you definitely are able to have the Odoo inbuilt security feature, right, which is the access control levels. You can leverage on this to be able to record rules effectively, to be able to manage access, avoid granting unnecessary permissions. Then the other ways to be able to do this is to be able to validate and sanitize inputs. Odoo already has some of the things, but you can also do another layer level check. Then also you can encrypt sensitive data, regularly update Odoo and its modules. You can monitor and audit security, audit logs, train user on security best practices also. So that these are some of the best practices that you also have to be able to adopt. Um, how do you scale your Odoo for growing businesses? Yeah, I was talking about how you can start off with an ERP solutions to be able to maybe able to start up with two modules, and then over time you can be able to improve on adding as the business grows. So as you're adding more, right, there is also the need for performance optimization, right? So and for a lot of us that are in on this call, right, there's been several job roles that have been touching points on. There's a need for you as a Python developer, as an Odoo developer, as a front-end developer. Now we're talking about performance optimizations, which literally works around DevOps, right? and cloud-based engineers. So there's a role for everybody. Odoo is not taking as much jobs or as much things off, right? It's just automating things and making things better, right? So in this case, performance optimization. So one of the best databases preferred to be used with Odoo is Postgres SQL. So you can configure your Postgres settings for optimal performances by using work memory or share buffers. You can create um, appropriate indexes to improve queries and performance. You can optimize database queries to avoid performance bottlenecks, right? So in Odoo itself, you'll get to some cases where you can write some extra codes, right? So you just call an Odoo method, right? Or an Odoo class that literally helps you to be able to achieve that. So cache, you can implement cache mechanism. So Odoo has an inbuilt cache. Also, external cache solution also can also be leveraged on to reduce database load. Cache frequency, right? For frequently accessed data also can help improve the response time. Then other things are around load balancing, distributing traffic across multiple Odoo instances, right? So that's if you want to be able to host your Odoo instance on your server itself, to be able to handle increased load, then use load balancers in terms of hardware and software to be able to manage traffic distributions, right? So these are some roles that have to be done by DevOps, or either you just go ahead and do Odoo.sh, where you'll be paying Odoo directly for hosting your service, or you can be able to say, okay, yes, we want to be able to do this in-house because of the specific data that we're trying to host, right? So not just having to do on-prem, right? So you can do on-prem or you can host with Odoo on your Odoo cloud or yeah. So handling large data sets with high traffic. How do you handle some of this, right, on Odoo? One of the best approach, right, is database sharding. I'm sure a lot of us are aware of database sharding. Um, by the way, where you partition large database or your data sets across multiple databases, you're also able to distribute data based on specific criteria, data and region. Yeah, or you can do a data replication, replicate your data across multiple instances for redundancies and improved performances. You can also use send Postgres into tools for replication and external replication solutions. Other things are scaling your infrastructure, code optimization, regular monitoring and tuning. So these are some of the things that one can do. Can either do this as an organization, have a perspective that yes, you can be a developer, a cloud engineer, and also still have an Odoo experience, right? So that's one of the things. So we'll briefly talk about Odoo community and the enterprises. Odoo community enterprises. So there's an Odoo community, which is the free and open source version of Odoo. It offers a wide range of core functionalities and can be customized to extend by developers. You're able to receive community support and contribution also. Then also there's the Odoo Enterprises, which is the paid version of Odoo with additional features and supports, right? So definitely whatever you pay for, you should be able to get more support, right? So it includes premium modules and specialized functionalities, offer priority for support and access to dedicated resources, provide an enterprise-grade security and compliance feature, right? So that's the thing. So for some of the things that I've said earlier that you can do on your own, when you're hosting on Odoo Enterprise, those things can be added surplus for you, right? So one of the things which we all should be doing right now is contributing to the Odoo community, right? Developing a custom modules. That's one way to contribute to the Odoo community by creating and sharing your custom modules with the community, contribute to existing modules by adding new features or fixing bugs, right? Other contribution can be providing support, like sharing your knowledge and expertise, as we're doing on this call, participating in development discussions, by joining an Odoo discussion development roadmap, contributing to documentation. You can improve on the Odoo's documentation, maybe by adding new contents or corrections. You can also support the Odoo community itself by attending Odoo conferences, meetups, webinars, and all of that, right? So I think Odoo just add their conferences for releasing Odoo 18, right? And then the conferences was a massive one, right? I think over 35,000 people were in attendance or so. Yeah, can't remember the figures, right? And then here we are also, we also have and we do webinar here. So these are the ways at which we can also be contributing to Udo communities also. So I think we are this journey where we are open to questions and answers then the live coding session. So hi everyone. Can anyone hear me? Any questions, contributions?
Hi, Samuel. I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Victoria.
Yes, thank you very much. That was that was a lot. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I don't know if there are questions, but this was like very explanatory. Very there was nothing like complexity. Like you really took your time. So but then, is there anyone with question? Joe Augustine, Oyeshino, do you have question for Samuel? Ni, Stephen, Israel, Olawale. Okay, Israel is raising his hand. Okay, please go on, Israel. Unmute yourself.
Right. First of all, thank you very, very much, Samuel. It was very, very, very insightful and very much educative. I learned a whole lot at this since I got from. I really I grabbed the whole concept. You really broke it down really simple. And mine is not really a question, but like I want to just confirm because based on what you said, based on especially from the developers' perspective, I can see a lot of similarities with Django frameworks, especially because I'm presently working on a project that has to do like a little bit of a module of from this creating an HR solution, and I'm using Django Ninja instead of the REST framework. And Django Ninja, I'm using the likes of controllers, models, the views, and everything. And I can see a lot of similarities here.
Similarities.
Yeah, and I also want to get. I've not really worked with XML, but and again, you also said something. You said if someone with a good background in Python should take a month for him to get up and running with Odoo. I would really love to experience that because I'm really much interested in this. But thank God I didn't miss this meeting. So although I've followed you on LinkedIn, maybe I'll follow you up again via LinkedIn. And I want to see your live demo. I'm really anticipating the next steps. Like I want to see how things work out.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so I think you talked about Odoo. Okay, I think
yeah. So that you can take everything once and for all.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Stephen,
Stephen
can. Yes,
Oh,
please,
yes,
you are.
yes.
Okay. I think it was a question, but I actually got my answer because I wanted when you said community, so I had to go and delve in, and I found out that Odoo is actually partly open source, and I think that's a good one where you allow for people to come around. Yeah, so I think I would just like the other person said, I would also want to delve into the practical session which you're going to do now, since I do a bit of Python.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah. I think next is Steven. Yeah.
Stephen also asked Rizizan. Please, Stephen, you can go on.
Okay, thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you. Very, very inspiring one and eye-opening. So my question would be, say for someone who the level of coding is not so pro level or intermediate, so to speak, and the person has been using Zoho to manage, say, some couple of modules like invoicing, sales, and what last one, inventory.
Yeah.
Coming to Odoo, how is there, would that person find like a safe landing as it were? I know before, on Zoho, he's not writing any code, it has been done, just paying for the services. That's one. And secondly, what is the cost implication compared to Zoho?
Okay. So, um, yep. So just to go into your question, right? Two things. If you're coming into Odoo, right, is either you're coming into the enterprise or you're coming into the community edition, right? So, coming into the enterprise, I think you could check out odoo.sh. So I don't have off the top of my head exact cost, right? But there's a cost for um um your Odoo also, right? Then for the community edition, right? So that means that you also be able to host Odoo yourself and be able to do every other thing by yourself on your own cloud platform, right? Then definitely that means that is possible, right? But you also need to be able to have a whole understanding. I will always make it sure that you need a Python experience, right? Or you get a Python developer that has an Odoo experience, or you get an Odoo developer, right? So it's the thing. So it's either you're able to go for the enterprise solutions, then you see the cost and then a whole lot of things. But one of the major things I advise people is look, they have to be like a big business. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Yoshino. Yeah. So there have to be like a business approach, right, to your business itself, right? So you need to be able to create like a roadmap. There's a need for planning. So if what you're paying on Odoo is literally okay for you as a business operation based on the number of users and everything, right? Then you can still be able to work with that. But if you're thinking long term, right, and then you're thinking of, okay, we might be diving into some things in the future that Zoho might not be able to offer us, right? That it's customization that might be able to do it. So we have maybe this product or this solution or this and this and this that we need to constantly integrate it, and Zoho doesn't necessarily offer some of those integrations, then I think you should start finding a way to transition into Odoo. Now, the way for you to transition into Odoo is two ways, right? Either going with the community edition or you go with the enterprise edition, right? Which you need an experienced developer, or you yourself need to be able to have that skills to be able to host it yourself, right? So definitely there's cost around you also hosting it yourself or hosting on the enterprise. So it's a case of migrating to Odoo for me is one of the best things that I would tell people to do, right? Because Odoo is revolutionizing ERP solutions. I know of the Microsoft one also, but it's at least from developers that I've spoken with, right? It's a bit complex and yeah, so close source, right? So and if you're using before you can even be able to develop um, a module or an app, right? Thank you so much, Israel, right? So before you can be able to develop an app, it's going to be crazy, right? So I work in a company where we migrated from a CRM on PHP, right, to a Microsoft ERP solution, right? And then it's been quite tricky and complex. So what we are just doing is we're finding a background to be able to, yes, Microsoft Dynamics. Yeah. So what we've been able to do is just to be able to see how we can be able to create APIs and hooks to be able to trigger things and be able to do things rather than having to keep buying or paying for things, right? So it's one thing, and what I would just advise is, yeah, Udo should be the best thing. Just decide on your costs because everything still surrounds as cost. If you're going for enterprise, do you have the skills? Are you able to host yourself? Right, that's the cost part. And then if you are not able to do this, what is the cost benefit for the resource, right, that you're going to use as against you hosting an enterprise solution, right? So that's the thing. Then I think I couldn't remember the, yeah, so there was the other question about as a Django, does it also mirror the Odoo? I would say yes, in a similar way. So if you've seen the way Python applications have worked, right, you see a level of similarities, right, in their modular structure, especially Django. So Django is built in a modular structure, right, whereby within an app you have your models, you have your views. You can also bring in your controllers, then you can also bring in some other things alongside. So an Odoo structure, an Odoo app is also structured in the same way, right? Whereby you have model folder, you have your manifest, right? You have your model folder, you have your views folder, you have your security, you have your data folder. Then you can also create your menu folders. I like to create some of these folders individually, one after the other, to be able to achieve some of this. So the interesting thing with Python is, especially if you're on the web application side development, right? You see the likes of Python, Django, Flask, Fast API. So you'll definitely pick similarities in them, right? So in Fast API is also modular, right? Just the same way. So all of this is something. So for me, I think the benchmark is the fact that it's good that you have a Python skill. The XML is not really very tick like all these our C sharp SMS, sorry, XML, apologies, right? So it's very neat and very explanatory, right? So you're creating, and then there's a lot of repetitiveness, right, in your XML, because you're apparently creating, changing some few lines. By the time you're creating the views, you're creating the form view, also you're creating the tree view, you're creating the search view, you're creating, so there'll be repetitive. So it's just some very critical parts that you definitely see that you have some of this change, right? So I don't know if there's any other questions.
Hi, Samuel. I think that's
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen just in a minute. So basically, I have an Odoo solution set up already. So
What do you,
we'll
what do you
just
say?
do a deep dive. I think
What do you
you're,
say?
so you said? Okay, yeah. So I have an Odoo. Let me just see if my Docker is running.
Sorry, Samuel. If I may ask, how long would this session take us?
I think maybe another 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, just give me a moment. Let me start off my.
Thanks, Samuel. You are
Yep.
muted.
Oh, sorry. Okay, no, I'm not muted. Yeah. At
Yeah.
this point, you can still see my screen, right?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, yeah. So just want to log in into our Odoo solution. So let me get my password.
Sorry, someone, in case you're seeing anything, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, just a moment. Yeah. I just need to get the password for the login. Yeah. So, password. Uh, okay. Are you able to see the login screen? Are you able to see this Odoo interface?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying discuss, right? Start a meeting and all of that. Okay. Let me stop sharing and share it to be sure. Oh, okay, guys.
Yeah, you stopped sharing your screen already, though.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, when you have your Odoo solution, this is so I have an Odoo running on my local as a Docker, right? Um, yeah, can be able to set up that. So one of the things I would do because of our time, I wanted to show how to set this up, but I'm not sure we'll be able to meet that timing. But just to be able to make it fast. So when you set up an Odoo app and you log in, right? So this is the development environment for me. So done some settings to be able to make it at least the development environment. Um, so on the side menu, you're able to see um, the different apps that you have. So some of these apps from business tools down to fleets is their custom apps. So I will just take you to apps. Yeah. Um, so these are all Odoo apps that can be used, right? So you have sales, you have invoicing, CRM, purchases, accounting, inventory, website, right? So you can host your Odoo and also have the website part, a point of sales, right? You can also be able to add your compatible point of sale screen and then have it log in on Odoo, and then you're able to do the things that you want to do in your business projects, e-commerce, manufacturing. So there's a huge ton. There's a huge ton of what is it called? So these are just about I think 70 of them, right? Then the ones that doesn't have icons are custom apps that's I just developed for a company that we're doing something for, right? So there's a part where I want to be able to show you for some of the points and powers that Odoo can be able to do. Um, okay, let me take network system tools, right? Um, so this is um, a fully customized app, right? That's already DealGet is developed. So all this data are being fetched from some of the existing modules, right? So you have all of these, then you have this set of models, right? So these are sub models that are customly created. So all of these are codes that are already developed, right? So you can now be able to feed them into interfaces like this. So, and this is leveraging on the Odoo front end side of things, right? So you can be able to develop things as critical as you want to be able to have some of these data being embodied here. And then, yeah, so you have things around search profile. So this is for a network provider. So, and you have things around invoice histories, usage history. So there are already invoices that are being used, right? But we need to be able to track some of those histories because we're tracking them with issues and with some socket lists, right? So, and then things and all of that, then you have, okay, this is a inbuilt module, yeah, from Odoo, contacts. This is inventory, yeah, from Odoo also can be able to see how many items that you're processing. So you can, there's a whole lot that you can be able to see, right? And then you also have your views, right? This is your list view. This is your Kanban view, right? And then all of these are being customized using XML, right? So Odoo translates the XML back into the interface, and then you also have your calendar view also, right? So based on the calendar view, you are able to see things that you've done over time, right? And then, okay, say for example, on this date, you have this particular product, and this is the view interface. See the quantity. So there's a whole lot with Odoo that can be done. There's a whole lot with Odoo that can be achieved also. Um, yes, so I think the major thing is the fact that with Odoo you can be able to just achieve a lot of things. So if you come down to settings, you have general settings where I can be able to set my developer mode. Yeah, it's one of the things that I need. I think that's the most. So with the developer mode, I can be able to come in here, business tools, right? We can see this bug icon at the top here. So with this bug icon, I can be able to see the view, right? How was the view built, right? So it's as simple as this is the partial part of the XML, right? That you're seeing. Then you have practically maybe the search view also, partial part of the XML. Then, yeah, pretty much a lot of other things. You want to be able to see the edit actions, view the fields, manage a lot of other things around what you definitely want to be able to have and things. So there's quite a lot of things that can be achieved with Odoo. Yeah. So in building our app, I think I'll just quickly. So another thing I'll do is I'll push um, the finished version of the app in case if we have that time, right, to my GitHub so that everybody else can just download it. And also, I think I have a starter app for Odoo that you can just use to be able to start up on Odoo also. So I'll push that. So let me share back my VS Code screen so that we can be able to just build a small app. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Zoe. So let me just see if I can share my entire screen.
Yeah, you stop sharing your screen, Samuel.
I want to share the screen. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay. So let's look at a few things. Okay, yeah. So in the in the presentation, right? So I made mention of few items, right? We have a manifest. So let me just close up all of those folders. Yeah. So we talked about our manifest, right? So in the manifest, this is a very small version of how a manifest is, right? So in this case now, we want to be able to create a library management app, right? Version one. Let me just say a simple, um, okay, yeah, simple library. Um, and description would be manage, manage groups, loans, yeah, loans. Let's see, category. Um, what category can somebody be able to put this? As you can see, management, books, then hotel, just we can show some more. So then, so you have dependents, right? So on the 10th, so it's like for the programmers or the developers right here, is when you have your module depending on another module, right? To be able to function or another app, right? So in this case, I need the base app itself, which is Odoo. I need the HR, which is the user section. Maybe let me say contact and mail, right? So these are already installed app, right? So if they are not installed, right, they will be installed before your app is installed also, right? So in this case, also, I can just be able to say, okay, let me just use this. So you can have an icon and then a set of images, right? So before that, you see a place where I have my data here, right? So I did a touch point on some critical parts of Odoo, right? When you're developing, talked about the model, talked about the views, talked about the actions, the menu, we talked about data, we talked about security, right? Now, so for me, when I'm developing, I don't know if my screen was visible. Yeah, let me just increase. Yeah. So for me, when I'm developing an app as simple as this, right? I would just like to be able to define each entity in specific folders, right? So for security, I have a security folder. For views, I have a views folder. For actions, yeah, I'll just dump it in the views folder also. Then for menus, I put it in the menus folder. Then for data, I put it in data, right? Then there's a critical part. What happens to my model, right? So by default, I have this initialization file. So for the Pythons, we say that this is one critical part of our modules, either in Django or in most of the Python web applications that we're using, right? So you just define this single line, right? So from do you get these imports of models, right? So definitely you're telling your app that you should import everything from your models, right? So, and in my models, I have these also being import everything as more models, right? So from this, let everything, so I have my models.py also, which is currently empty, right? Then going back to my manifest again. So that handles everything for models for me then. I have my security, so which is security folder. I also have just this initializing file to be able to convert the directory to Python class. So I have my security right here. So I'm just using some existing code base to be able to make things faster. Yeah, so let me just open all the folders, then we start doing some things, right? So from my manifest, the first thing in my model is I like to start with my model because it's the base of things, right? So what happens really in my models if I'm creating this library management app? So I could be able to do a whole lot of things, right? So, and as Odoo already has interesting packages, right? So I can just do from Odoo imports models, imports fields, right? Now create my class for my model, library book, and then model dot model. And then so now what I'm telling you is this particular class book is a model, right? And based off of that, I need to be able to create a table, right? So a model literally represents a table in your project, right? So one of the things I will just do is, so I have to define some critical things, which is first thing is name, which is, let me say, library, right? And then underneath that also, I have to be able to define, sorry, just give me a sec. I also have to be able to define my description, which is library books, right? Then there's also a critical part, which is the default name that I also want, but I'm not going to define this yet now, so I'll just leave it. Then now it's now a case for me to now start defining my fields, right? So I have a name, then already I have fields, right? I'll just do fields dot character, right? Then it's a class passing the method. Then the title would be this. So all of these are in Odoo documentation, right? So do you want to be able to define the required? So you have it as true. So these are some simple definitions in Django, right? Or in Flask or your Fast API. And then also you have auto underscore API, sorry. So two cases I can define to use a field of many to one, right? And then what I would do is I will need another relationship to be able to achieve this. So maybe one of the things I will just do is I'll just create, I'll use my HR.users to be able to do this. And then what other things? Just give it auto. That'll be the title, would be, yeah, auto is it required? That'll be true. Okay. Then we move on. So I think we have ISBN. So this is also the same thing as feed character required. I could just take this out or change it to false, right? Yeah, better to just take care then change it to ISBN. Then what else again? Yeah, we have to do category. Is it available? Boolean, then also the purchasing date, right? So and just do category. Just so that we can be able to take our time. And then library that's category. So we don't have this model existing yet. So category. Yes, required is true. Then says book available. And then that's where we also have fields dots boolean. Maybe we have title also available. Defaults would be set to true. The models application. Digital fields. Dots page. Just application dates. Sorry. Yeah. Or anyone publish dates, right? So I have two many to one relations, right? So what I'll just do is let me just take this to be able to make things faster. I'll duplicate it. So this will be that's category. Change this to library category. I just don't need anything. I think I just need this and then description. All right. Right. Yeah. Just need that one. The name, category name, description. So this is not required necessarily. Okay. So I think with this, we should be able to have a simple model. Okay. So I don't know, any question on the model? So we cannot just be having an insight conversation so that we can make this fast. Okay, Israel. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a typographical error, but that your class instantiation it started with a capital C. Is it purposely or it's a typographical error? Is that as meant to be?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that. So it should be, yeah. Thanks. Okay. So I think with this, I'll just move to what next? Okay, we can just move to our views, right? So what I'll just do is I will reuse some of these views here just to be able to give us so interestingly, right? So one of the reason why so I'm just reusing some of the codes that I had before to make things faster. So you'll notice that these are different models, different apps, right? So it's better. I love to be able to have things commented out. So just library, groups, right? So you just need like 3 items, then So I think this should do for us, right? So when you're defining your views, right? So you have your view ID. So in this case, I'll just change it to library book. So it's always good that your naming convention also are more seamless so that you don't have conflicting IDs because in your actions, that's where you're able to use them, right? So there are some things I talked about in repetition in your views, right? So I'll still talk points on that. So I have library books, right? Then the same thing, just use my model name to be able to make things faster. Books, right? So this is talking about the view names, right? This is your view ID. Yeah, we are using the view model, right? Already, these are configurable parameters in Odoo. Then this field name, you have your library. So I'm defining tree, right? So this means that this is going to be my list view or tree view, right? Where I'm able to see all the records. Then from which model, right? So what is the architecture like? The type is XML, right? Then what is my tree view like, right? So these are the where I'll define the data that I want to show, right? So just change this to um, library books. Yeah, so I think we have name, we have author. Yeah, let me use my model. Just do this my splits left. Yeah, so uh, okay. Yeah, so have my author. Okay, now the author underscore ID, SBN, and my category is available. Just pick it up. For the form view, I'll just do this, change it to so for my form view also, change this to library. Sorry. Read the books. Same thing here. So just the same way I explained earlier, right? Your name, you can see that this is the only thing that has changed so far, right? Aside from the ID also, this is telling me that this should be a form view, right? And then the structure of your form also changes based on the fact that, yes, you need to be able to tell Odoo that, yes, I'm displaying a form in this case. So display form for me. And just said library book. I'll just say creates. Then all of these are ways that you can be able to structure. So for example, I can say maybe this should be just details. Then I have my name. I have author. Oh, sorry. So underscore ID. Then I can have some other things. I have category. And I also have ISBN. Okay, so what other informations? Okay, take out this part. Set available. The publication dates. So I can just say status and dates. So I'll do this. Odoo sees the ampersand as another entity within its own. So this also I'll just change to library books dot search then this also will be send library books then search library. I think name and maybe author underscore ID. Yeah. So right now we have an entire view of search, form, and publication, right? So, and you could see it's just the same way we write an XML. So, once you define an XML, you just define Odoo, then you have your record, you have the same structure, right? So, with all of these, I can just take the entire thing again, just because of our time of having to duplicate things. So there's an Odoo app with VS Code. So I think that can make things faster. So let's make this category. Works. Change it to category. Yeah, migrate that category. Do the same thing here and here. And then the same thing here. Yeah. Yeah. Category. Yeah. So now we already have two fields, right? Change this category. Description. Description. And then, yeah, you can start your description also. So just with this logic right now, we have two app views ready, two models ready. Then based on our manifest after view, we have actions, right? So permit me to just, sorry, I just have to do this. So change this to library groups action, library category. So usually I just like to use the what is it called? The parts name and then the app name for naming convention. So that way it's easy to identify. So basically what this action is talking about is how your menu is going to link. So it's like your router. So it's just like the way you have your routes in any of your application, right? So you're defining your route, linking it to your model, linking it to your view, right? And then based off of that, your menu would now be able to access it. Yeah. Okay, so we have, oops. Well, yeah. Library books. This is, yeah. Okay. So what is my, so right here, this is the ID, right? And then the view ID here is also this. So basically what I've done so far here is that I've kind of created like a router in a raw sense, right? But this is called an action file, right? So this is where every part of your app connection is being defined, right? So you define the action name, you define its respective model, the view mode. So you can set tree, form, you can put in graph, you can put in pivot, you can put in Canva, depending on the different views that Odoo has to offer. Then the view ID also. So if it's a form, it will be form ID. If it's a graph, it will be graph ID, right? So I'll just take this view and then put it in here, right? So the same thing will go. So because I'm able to use a conventional naming for them, then it's very easy for me to say, okay, for the action type, I'll just use action underscore the library name underscore category. Yeah. So library category, no, not sure the types. So this will be library category. So we have this from our base of our manifest. Up next, we go with views, where it shows us what we have. Then we go to the menu. Yeah, so we still have our security also. So let me just take out a huge number of data also from here. Sorry. So Odoo is usually interested because yeah, XML are not just so crazy for every, yeah, it's not as crazy as this. So we have the library app, then you define your sub menus, right? And then how do you want to be able to have it? So you can decide to say that, okay, for after your name, you want to be able to show the title, then after your title, you want to be able to show this. So what I'll just do is I'll show, let me just say this is my library app. So this will be like my main menu, right? Then the next menu would be menu libraries. So sequence is just the term sequence on how your menu are able to show one after the other, right? So we just duplicate this, then have this to be library underscore books. Right? And then by having it as library underscore books, the only thing I'm just having to do um, is now to be able to ensure that yes, I'm able to add an action, right? Somewhere here, yeah. So action is now pointing it to the ID of the action that I want, right? So where's my action file? This is the ID of the action that I'm going to use, right? So that way, when I click on that menu, it interprets all of this for me. we pick the model. Yes, the model is valid, goes to the view. Then what are the different views that are configured for it? Then it just goes ahead. So in this case, my action is this, right? Then sequence, I can say maybe 11. Then let me just duplicate this for the same category. Check my books. It should be library category. Parents, yeah, library help. So we come, get the action for this also, come back, impute it in, and then sequence can also just be at least, So in this case now we have our menu defined, right? So when you install the app, everything works where you go to the menu, you're able to see this as the main menu on your sidebar. Then after that, then you're able to see this menu, and underneath it, you see library books, library categories. Then you click on it, it calls this action. So this action triggers all the definitions that you have here, then shows you the default view, which is then goes into your view and then pick up all the configurations that you have and then load it back on Odoo. Then I think what is left, security is the last item. So we might not be doing anything with data for now. But we'll just go ahead and do security. And be sure that my structures are fine. Odoo security models. Okay, so same thing again. What's the name? I like to call it my same. So I think it's books. That's easy. My model, something library underscore books. You can see the model ID is unified with a model underscore, right? So that's one major thing also for us to. So I'm still going to explain this. Let me just change this now. Library underscore books. So basically what this is telling us is you have a record, right, for your security. So how you're going to have access to this books, well, so one who has access, and then how can people have access to your model generally, right? To your model generally. Now you're talking about, okay, what's the ID? What's the name? I just use the name of the model also then. Which model is it referencing? Then which user? So I'm referencing base user, group user. So this group user is all users. And I'm telling it that, okay, ability to read, write, create, and delete, right? Which is on link. All are true. So grant it all these access to everybody in this base group users, right? So that way, I just have everything all set for all my users, right? So now, once I install the app, every user that is in this group user would be able to access this app, perform all these actions, right? So, and truthfully, you can have another base group where you're able to have a duplicate of these for a different base group that they are able to perform different actions. So in this case, let me just change this to category. Then, we're able to move. So category, So for my category, user access, for every user model, user category, base group, and all of that. So I think I have my app ready and ready to be installed, right? So one last thing that I need to check is the usage of my HR user. So I'm going to go back to my Odoo just in a bit. Just to be able to get something. Okay. I'm going to one of this. Okay, assets manager. Okay. Oh. Yeah.
Hi, Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Thank you. How many do we have more for the session? I think we have another class starting soon. Yeah.
Okay. So just like how many minutes do I have? It's just to install right now. So.
No, I'm just like asking you how long you think we have to wrap up with the coding session.
So I think just to demo now, we just have like about 5. So I just want to install, right? So I think in 5 minutes extra.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I think let me confirm something in my app here. This is my model. Yeah, okay. So HR does employee. Yeah. So my model should be not HR.user. Yeah, HR.employee. Okay, so I think we are ready. So if we recall also, I definitely did make mention that for your Odoo app, it's always good that when you have a Docker set up, you have it into the add-on folders, right? So this is my Docker app. So, and in Docker, right, you can expose some parts of your folders to be able to mount to your computer PC, right? So I don't want to talk too much into that, right? But this is where my Docker is, and then these are all the apps that I have built. So I will just paste in my library app here. Yeah, DevCareer library app. So I'll paste it here. Let me delete this. Also, this one personal issue. Yeah, let me delete that. So, yeah, DevCareer library app. Then, okay. So one major thing is I have to start my Odoo. That way, that is for things to be able to flex. So stop my container and restart it. Okay, yeah. The container is booting up. Let me get your apps. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, so let me go into my apps folder. So I need to update my app lists. Click on updates also. Yeah, hold on. Oh, your apps are updated. And come back to main apps. So I think let me just look for library. Okay, yeah, DevCareer. This is it here. So let me click on see more. Okay. Uh, okay. Is module info. Okay. So, oh, sorry. That was a different thing. Module info. Yeah. Library management by Akinshola website. Akinshola category management. Simple technical name. So if we see all the informations I have in my manifest, the name, the summary, the description, the category, the author, the websites, all of those information are there, right? So if you need technical data, right, it will show you in case you have a demo data, but because you didn't put that, then your dependencies, you have mail, contact, days, and HR, right? So these are the different dependencies that I have here, right? So that way it just works off of that. So I think the next thing is for me to activate. So let us expect voila. So it's installing, activated. Oh, an error. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, this is somewhere in my security line 5. Okay. This is module library. That's my model name. Oh, yeah. So I guess I've been using library.books, library.books. Maybe I'll have to change this then. I've been using library.books. How about my views? Oh, okay. So let me just change it here to make things faster. So at times, by the time you look at some of the things, right, it's discussing about this block, right? So you have to validate every other thing. So my name was library here, but I've been using library.books, right? So yeah, I will have to stop it again because it's already installed my model. So I have to restart. And see if it started up. Oh, okay. So let me just do a quick update again. And then, uh, what's this? It's okay.
Hi, Samuel. You're muted. No, sorry, Remy, you're not speaking.
Oh, okay. Right. Check. Just let me know if I'm out of time. Yeah. Refuser, library books, things library books. It's not all fine. Okay. Just do this. Okay. Just other library refusers. Library. Okay. So let me do this. Let me go back to my app. Think. This. Okay, I think we should be fine. Okay, let me just. Oh, sorry. I get the issue now. Let me import the folder. So I'm working on a different code base from inside my library. DevCareer, the folder. Yeah. Okay, so this is my model. Let's see. Books. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I was editing the wrong files. Yeah, so let me just restart. Okay, so starting and starting. We'll do. So most of the time, whenever you're doing changes to your models, it's always best to have to restart your Odoo, at least on your local machine, so that you have a fresh changes that are updated, because these are Python side of things. If it's just the XML, you can just go ahead and do an app refresh only. So okay, yeah, start up now. Still have Okay. We have a few members left.
Hi, Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how many minutes do we have left? Because I don't want us to be logged out of this call.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're done. So the app is installed. So yeah. So we have a library app here. Okay. So this is the library app, library books, library category. So I can create category fictions, right? And then fictions, yeah. And then I save, then come to my library book and creating what should be my title, should be um Love by Python, ISBN, resource, ISBN, that's something. Then author, so author is meant to select, so we can see that it's able to search from our existing users on the Odoo CRM, right? And also we can be able to define this by category also. So I'm picking this, then this is the fiction category. I can click on start typing to be able to create, because if I want to create a new category and say love, right? So it creates this for me, and then publish dates is say 23rd, then I click on save, right? So this is a new category that I created. I can come back here and you can see it's already created, right? So and I have this also. Then as for my search, let me create, okay, let me come down here to use search. Yeah, so I can just search for maybe love. Yeah, so it's able to show me love. Search for fiction. Yeah, show me fictions, right? So same thing, and here you have your books, right? So you can create another book as you want and all of that. So I think it's just a very simple Odoo app. There are more complex things, very complex things than this here. But this is just you having a library app, you have your library books, you have your categories, and then interestingly, you can also import, right? So you can import your records from an Excel sheet directly or a CSV, right? And then you can import them and then map the columns. So it's very interesting in mapping the columns. So yeah, I think that was it basically for this session. Yeah. I don't know, any questions? Yeah. Thank you so much as well. Yeah. Questions, contribution?
Yeah, thank you so much, Samuel. Okay, Amani Kano, do you have any question? Ibiojo, Augustine, Oyeshino, okay, Israel is raising his hand. Please go on. I just want us to be very conscious of the time because I don't want the app to log us out again, please.
Sure, sure.
All right.
Israel,
So,
go
thank you,
on.
Victoria. Yeah. Thank you very much, Samuel. I followed up through. It was very interesting. I could understand the development areas. It was okay, though. I want to ask: is there like, do you have like an incubation? Do you like where you can train incoming people that want to deal with Odoo, like Odoo developers? Because I'm very much interested in this.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I think I'm starting up a Odoo developer community, at least in Nigeria, so majorly in Lagos. So there's a
Yeah,
plan
I've seen
to
your profile
have,
on Instagram.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So the plan is to be able to have a community around Odoo, right? Because it's one of the most open source ERP, right? So the plan is to have like an event later this month, hopefully, right? At least our first developer event. So I think one of the things is I'll drop a link, a Google Form link with Victoria. So if she can share on the platform for people that are interested, right? So just take your name, email, and then inform you when that is coming. And also, you can reach me on any of the social media platforms or on the developer groups also. So yeah, so there's more coming on Odoo because there's a lot of it to offer. And honestly, I think it's another avenue for us to start looking at as developers also open source side, things that we can be able to build, and also it's a huge revenue ecosystem. There's a lot of international organizations that are using Odoo also, yeah, and they need developers, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I would really love to work with you particularly. I love the way you approach
Definitely.
towards your development procedures. It was very nice.
Yeah.
I would love
Thank
to
you.
meet with you one on one. Yeah, hopefully, I'll be interested. I'll follow up with that.
No, yeah. Okay, definitely. Okay then. Yeah. Any other questions, contributions?
Okay, don't worry, I can just take it from here. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, is there anyone? Okay, I'm actually very particular of us not being logged out of the call, right?
Definitely.
Thank you very much once again, Samuel, for this session. This was, though it was long, right, but then it was really worth it. The time, the
Yeah.
exposure. Thank you so much for going simple. Like for breaking this complex this concept to us, and then even I myself was able to like put something. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So the link to the recording will be made available, right? So we can get to like listen to them again. Like I know most people are going to like reach out, oh, they missed the call and all of that. And I can share with them. I share on Monday with people once the recording is available. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Samuel, and to everyone who
Okay.
stayed this moment.